Alright, guys. So, I was debating whether or not to do this, but I guess I will address this issue. The Ukraine Russia thing, the Zelensky Trump thing. This whole thing. So, I was born in Lvov, Ukraine. Lvov. Not Lviv, not Lemberg. It was called Lvov when I was born there. Today they call it Lviv. They insist on calling it Lviv. When it was part of Poland, it was Lwów, Lwow. When it was part of Austria-Hungary, it was Lemberg. Okay, let's just put that aside. My parents were refuseniks. What is a refusnik? Is a person who wanted to leave the Soviet Union was denied the ability to leave the Soviet Union. In this case, because they were Jews. And because they were Jews. They applied to leave the Soviet Union in 1977, and they finally left in 1987. Their main enemy back then and forever will remain every single solitary KGB guy on Earth, now called the FSB. So Putin is my parents' enemy. So, with that said, guys, in the beginning of this war, my parents were all about, the Ukraine defending themselves. My parents were all about, Putin. And it is true that Putin and his cronies and his regime, they do a lot of messed up stuff all around the world. In particular in America, they do a lot of agitprop in America. A lot of agitprop. You guys have no idea. All the stuff you see, a lot of the stuff you see on campuses has been installed by the KGB in the 70s, and it continues to this day. And the thing is, I was arguing with them, and I was trying to tell them at that time, guys, this whole thing with NATO and the people who are upholding or holding up or propping up Ukraine in this war are also nefarious actors. So basically, you have a thing where it's two sides of the same coin. Right? There's Putin, who's like the modern day Stalin, and then there is the, I don't know how to call them, globalists, fruitcakes, Gnostic fruitcakes, World Economic Forum. They are the modern day, in my opinion, the modern day Nazis. Not Ukraine, but those people who are funding Ukraine. So I got kind of yelled at and this and that and the other. It seemed to me that everybody who was saying what I was saying was accused of being a Putin supporter. I'm no such thing. Okay. We fast forward 3 years from then, 3 years later. My parents are now saying that Zelensky is the biggest putz on earth. So now I will just outline for you guys. There are basically 3 or 4 different groups of people who hail from the former Soviet Union, either living, in the United States or living outside, or living in the former Soviet Union. There are the people who support Ukraine unequivocally, and who's like my parents, who are against Russia, let's say, first and foremost, like my parents, and anybody who's against Russia is, so to speak, their friend. Then you have the people who are not, anything, have nothing to do with the former Soviet Union, people like celebrities, and who come and say, well, if you don't support Ukraine, then you must be a Putin supporter. Like, it's a zero-sum game for these fucking people, right? It's, if you don't like the color white, you must like the color purple or the color black, right? I've said no such thing, as you guys could see. I don't like Putin. I think he's a piece of crap, right? But I also think Ukraine is a corrupt country and all the rest of it, right? And I think Zelensky's a putz, okay, first and foremost. Then there are the people who whose families hail from Ukraine, a lot of the Jews who hail from Ukraine, and who say that Ukraine, across the board, is a Nazi country, is an anti-Semitic country, because these people lost their family members in Babi Yar. Folks, I mean, Ukraine is not across the board an anti-Semitic country. There are anti-Semites, a lot of them in Ukraine. There are a lot of anti-Semites in Russia. There are a lot of anti-Semites in every single country of what we call the former Soviet republics. Okay? So, guys, the only way to look at this whole thing is with nuance and subtlety. What the media wants you to do, and what celebrities want you to do, and I'm going to get to that, and what just fruitcakes of all types, whether it's what I call Russophiles or Slava Ukraina phils or whatever you want to call them, is everything is a zero-sum freaking game. Okay? Everything is a zero-sum game. Now you come and say, well, Tzvi, isn't it like the same thing with Israel and whatever? Folks, Israel is alone. Okay? Israel is alone. Basically. You could say, well, America helps and this and that. There's all this kind of nuance with America, why they help, why the so-called State Department, why the industrial complex of America gives money, etc., etc. It doesn't really give money. It forces Israel to, say how high when they say jump, right? It's a different story. So, my friends, when it comes to this issue, there is nuance, right? Here's the problem. The problem is very simple. Nobody wants this to expand and to escalate into a world war. There are people in Ukraine, some of my parents' friends, who say, oh, why can't America just threaten to or actually drop actual missiles on Moscow while Putin is weak? He's weak, and why can't they just do that? Folks, well, I don't know. This is going to lead to World War freaking 3. That's why he can't do that. That's why nobody could do that. That's why even Obama 3.0 didn't do that. Okay? And by the way, Obama 1.0, or 2.0 rather, Obama's in a second term, was the one that precipitated this whole thing, the one that allowed this whole thing in 2014, right? And it continued and continued and continued until we got to 2022, where Putin saw his opportunity, my friends. Okay? So that's basically it, guys. I was born in Ukraine. I was born in Lvov, Ukraine. It doesn't mean that I have to unequivocally support Ukraine. I was born there. I don't consider it my country. I hate to tell you. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I hate to tell you something you don't like to hear. I also don't consider Russia my country. I speak Russian only because, the official language of the Soviet Union when I was born was Russian. I went to Russian language kindergarten. They had Ukrainian language kindergarten. I was sent to Russian language kindergarten school. And we spoke Russian at home. Jews spoke primarily Russian at home, even in Lvov, okay? And Yiddish. Our grandparents spoke Yiddish. So, with all that said, guys, I just want to say one last thing. I'm a hockey fan, as you can see. I think it's stupid that the Russian team is not allowed to play in any international competition. Again, I'm not a fan of Putin. I just like good hockey, okay? If you're going to cancel these guys, then you should ban Iran, you should ban North Korea. You should ban every single rogue state from playing in every single international competition. You should ban Iran from playing in soccer and in basketball. You should ban North Korea playing soccer. You should ban China. I don't know. Tennis players, Russian tennis players and Belarusian tennis players get to play on tour. They just take their flags down. I don't know why, as if we don't know where they're from. Stupid, right? My friends, you got to understand something. This whole thing has been churned, has been perpetuated by the deep state globalist crew in Europe, NATO. It's really hijacked by a bunch of fruitcakes. Same thing with when the Democrats were in power. My friends, you know what happened. You saw what happened during this meeting, right? Who do you think put Zelensky up to this? To yakking instead of sitting quietly and just, finishing this whole thing, signing, a piece of paper. If you want to talk about some kind of security guarantees, talk about it in private. Who do you think put him up to this, to say this in public, to agitate in public? Susan freaking Rice. That's one of the people. And all these other fruitcakes in Europe, my friends. Again, I'm not a fan of Putin. Neither is Trump, by the way. Right? I'm not even going to get into that. I'm just going to tell you, I don't know how you can call him a fan of Putin when he built the Keystone Pipeline, tanking the price of gas at the time. And Putin's entire economy depends on oil. I'm sorry, price of oil. His entire economy, his entire budget is depending on oil being $100 or more, maybe like $80 or more a barrel. You make no sense. You make absolutely no sense. To accuse Trump of being this and that, KGB agent, blah, 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 blah. My parents have friends in Ukraine. Oh, because he's not doing this and because he did that and because he told Zelensky this, that means that he's a friend, he's literally a spy for Russia. My friends, it's literally, they can't think. They can't think straight. People cannot think straight. Celebrities, I don't know, some of them can't think straight. They can't think in nuance. The irony is, back in the 80s, these people were fans of the Soviet Union. They wanted the Soviet Union to win. Leftists wanted the Soviet Union to win. And today they come out on stage, Slava Ukraina. My friends, these people are full of shit. Go look at videos of Bernie Sanders visiting the Soviet Union, cozying up with the KG freaking B. These people are full of shit. And they've convinced you to go for a cause you don't even know nothing about. You have no idea about it. Okay? Every single solitary country, with the exception of maybe the Baltic countries, and even then, in the former Soviet Union, of countries that were part of the former Soviet Union, every single one of them is corrupt. Every single solitary one of them. Zelensky, he became president, he wanted to fight corruption. He did not know what he got into. He did not know the people he would have to deal with. He did not understand what may come to him. And now, he's just going around the world, what we call schnorring for cash, schnorring for shekels, not shekels, dollars really, US dollars. And he just wants to keep this going, unfortunately. And he's in between a rock and a hard place now because he has to answer to the people that I guess they're his people. He's a Jew, and most of them are not, right? He has to answer to them. And he has to make it look like he didn't capitulate or kowtow to anybody, right? Much less evil orange man. And at the same time, he doesn't want the killing to continue. So what is he going to do? What can he do? He's in a phone booth right now. He's screwed. He's been rocking a hard place. He's been rocking a hard place, guys. Meanwhile, there's a bunch of people, keep going, you got to stop, stop Putin. Folks, we're going to World War III. I'm telling you right now, we're going into World War III. I'm going to say one last thing. For those of you who go up and say Slava Ukraina and support Ukraine, and you're against Israel, you're also full of shit or you're tremendously stupid. Why? Because Putin supports Hamas, he supports Hezbollah, and he supports Iran. So if you are against Israel and you're for Hamas and Hezbollah and for Iran and for Yemen, you are pro-Putin and simultaneously pro-Ukraine, which makes you a world-class idiot. Thank you very much, guys. I hope I unraveled this pretzel for you. And if I didn't, if you have any more questions, feel free. I'm here.